unique holiday for us. We don't celebrate with joy, rather, we honor fallen servicemen and women with sadness in our hearts. Throughout America today, we honor the dead of our wars and conflicts. We remember they gave their lives so that others might live. And we're gathered here at this event to recognize their sacrifice. And we owe our freedom and choice of action to those men and women who've served this nation in time of need. In particular, we're forever indebted to those who have given their lives that we might be free. And we all know the story. During the Civil War, 3 women in Boalsburg decorated the graves of the fallen soldiers. The following year, they returned to the cemetery along with other people from the town to decorate those soldiers' graves. It wasn't until 1971, Decoration Day, Memorial Day, was recognized as a federal holiday. Some facts I believe we should all know. Since those women began decorating the graves of the Civil War dead, over 500,000 men and women have died in our country's conflicts. And if we go as far back as the Revolutionary War, that would be closer to 750,000 men and women who've died in defense of our country. The men and women who died for our freedom represent the diverse patchwork that is the United States of America. In a war novel about the Korean War, the author James Michener quotes an admiral witnessing a extraordinarily heroism act. He states, "Where do we find such men?" And I think the answer is easy. Let me read to you from the citation of Foster Joseph Sayers, his Medal of Honor. Private First Class Sayers displayed conspicuous gallantry above and beyond the call of duty in combat on 12 November 1944 near Thornville, France. During an attack on a strong hostile forces entrenched on a hill, he fearlessly ran up the steep approach towards the objective and set up his machine gun 20 yards from the enemy. Realizing it would be necessary to attract full attention of dug-in Germans while his company crossed an open area, he charged through withering machine gun fire and rifle fire to the edge of their emplacement. There he killed 12 German soldiers with devastating close-range effect. He then took up a position behind a log and engaged the hostile infantry from the flank in a heroic attempt to distract their attention while his comrades attained their objective at the crest of the hill. He was killed by a very heavy concentration of return fire, but his fearlessness and his assault enabled his company to sweep the hill with minimal casualties, killing or capturing every enemy soldier on it. PFC Sayers' indomitable fighting spirit, his aggressiveness, and supreme devotion to duty live as an example of the highest traditions of the military service. Private First Class Sayers was 20 years old. To answer that admiral's question, where do we find young men and women who perform these heroic acts? In this case, we find a young man who grew up in the Marsh Creek, Howard area. We also find them locally, State College, Bellefonte, Snowshoe, Penns Valley. We find them from other small and large communities across our county, state, and nation. Our fallen heroes represent the character of our nation, who has a long history of patriotism and honor. A nation that has fought many battles to keep us free from threats of aggression and terror. Now, if you bear with me a few minutes, I want to tell you what Memorial Day personally means to me. On October 25th, 1983, I was a crew member on a helicopter, tasked to pick up downed pilots behind enemy lines on the island of Grenada. We had a Cobra gunship covering fire. While we were on the ground under fire to pick up one of the pilots, that gunship provides suppressive fire against enemy positions. Not able to locate the second pilot and having a seriously wounded pilot on the helicopter and taking hostile fire, the decision was made to take off and get our wounded man to medical facilities on our carrier. While leaving the landing zone, that Cobra gunship continued to provide suppressive fire on enemy emplacements. Without that gunship, I'm sure the incoming fire would have been overwhelming. Myself, along with the crew members and the wounded pilot, I'm sure would have been killed. As we passed out through the mouth of St. George's Harbor with our supporting gunship and trail, it was shot down. It crashed into the sea, killing both pilots. Major Pat Jagera, a native of Fort Lee, Virginia, and First Lieutenant Jeffrey Sharver, a Canton, Ohio native. I often think I and the rest of the individuals on board that rescue helicopter owe our lives and the futures we've had to Major Jagera and Lieutenant Sharver. The things I've done in my life, watching my children graduate from high school and college, walking my daughter down the aisle on her wedding day, holding my grandchild. Those big events and small ones that I've experienced, Pat Jagera and Jeffrey Sharver never had. I will never forget them and what they did on that day. Memorial Day is a solemn reminder to me, as it should be to all of us, of the sacrifices men and women have made and will continue to make by going in harm's way to assure we and our future generations continue to live in freedom. Thank you. God bless you all.